Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 30th of July, 2025, and as always, holding the legacy mainstream media's feet to the fire because they manipulate, they gaslight, they massage the information, they lie, and guess what? You won't be trusted anymore. No, once you lose trust, it's almost impossible to ever get it back. And I'm sorry, NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all of you guys, and that includes OAN and Real America's Voice and Newsmax. You're all just, sometimes, when you delete information or just you don't talk about something, that you're self-censoring, and like you're just not telling the whole story. And that's just like lying, it's just covering stuff up. Anyway, here I am expounding once again another excursion into broadcasting madness. I'm Dave vonKleist, and these are the WTF reports. And if you don't have enough reason to say WTF, well, if you don't have enough reason, I'm here, WTF, with the facts and the audio receipts. So hopefully, after hearing some of this information, maybe you too will sit back and watch your hairline, your eyebrows go up to your hairline and say, WTF! Oh my gosh. Anyway, right off the bat, as always, our broadcast is brought to you in part by the Wave Watch. If you haven't checked it out, folks, you all know Tesla was telling you the truth when he said frequency is everything. And we all know that Royal Raymond Rife was working with frequencies and discovered all kinds of amazing things with sound, that they could destroy viruses and bacteria and bad cells, but also frequencies can help other cells to proliferate and thrive. That means that you can use the Wave Watch to possibly help you in different situations. So, and I'm not here to tell you that it's going to, treat or cure anything, but we do know that frequencies do have a direct effect on your body. And that's why the Wave Watch is pretty cool, because it's a Rife machine you wear on your wrist. If you haven't checked it out, please visit our website, TheWTFReports.com, and click on the sponsors button, and you can check out information all about the Wave Watch. You'll be glad that you did. Okay, getting started. As always, we are broadcasting live from 2 p.m. Eastern Time for an hour, and that's the same as 11 a.m. Pacific Time. And if you're in Mountain or Central, hey, do the math. You'll figure it out. Anyway, and we broadcast live, which means you can call in. You can call in anytime that you want. And the phone number here to join me is 215-867-8255. Okay, a couple of topics I wanted to get to today. Of course, the left is losing their minds right now. About what, Dave? About just about everything. Anything at all that they can get upset about, they'll get upset about. And they'll start screaming, and they'll say Nazi, racist, and misogynist, and homophobe, and this and that. They just can't stand it. And right now, the big thing, and it doesn't make any difference. It's sort of like squirrel. And then, that's bad. Squirrel. Over here. That's bad. They just go back and forth. Anyway, the big thing right now is the advertising campaign for Eagle jeans. And there's what's her name? Sweeney, Sydney Sweeney. And these liberals are losing their minds. They're saying, you got to boycott this jeans. As a matter of fact, let me see. I've got a couple of clips here. As a matter of fact, I had a little bit of a corruption in my files here, so now I have to actually look a lot harder to find the clips that I had here. Oh, here it is. Okay. This is one. There are so many people posting on social media, on TikTok and X and Instagram. A bunch of liberals are saying we got to boycott, these jeans. Yeah, because it's racism. It's Nazis. It's this. Okay, listen. This is one of the posters and why they're screaming. They're so upset about a blue jean commercial. Check it out.
Don't forget to boycott American Eagle for their racist shit online, talking about blue jeans and white people. Boycott American Eagle. Boycott the shit out of them. Boycott American Eagle. Do not buy them and cancel this person Miss Sweeney. Cancel for her being racist, for doing Nazi propaganda. Cancel American Eagle.
Racist and Nazi propaganda. That's what they're saying, okay? And that's basically because she says, and she's a very beautiful girl, and she's a model, and she's saying, I have great genes, okay? And so this is the left, they're losing their minds. But what they don't know is that there is an effort behind that to help people. And let me see which clip this is. Okay, I'm shooting in the dark here. This is basically about the hate towards Sweeney and the jeans. Let's see what this one is.
All right, real talk. Let's just be honest. The hatred of white people has been so normalized and mainstreamed in this country. There are countless examples from this week alone. I mean, you've got that brawl in Cincinnati, 2 white people beaten nearly to death, a woman bleeding out of her nose and mouth, completely dismissed, doesn't matter, okay. We don't know the whole story. Looked pretty complete to me. Then you've got the ongoing hatred, of course, of Caitlin Clark. Why? Because she's better at basketball, also white. And then, of course, you've got Sydney Sweeney. She's not allowed to be a hot girl wearing jeans for American Eagle, because if she says she has good genes, that means it's promoting Nazism or eugenics. All of this is utterly ridiculous. But you know what's even more ridiculous? This white hate charge has been led almost exclusively by white liberals, and in particular, white liberal women. And especially in the case of Sydney Sweeney, if you look at the white liberal women that are so mad about it, they happen to be mediocre to unattractive. There's nobody that hates a white hot girl more than a mediocre or ugly white liberal girl. There, I said it. You're welcome.
Tell us what you really think. But there is an effort behind this entire ad campaign, and a lot of the liberals, they don't know. They don't do any research at all. All right. So if you want to know what's going on behind this advertising campaign, give a listen to this.
Just when I thought I was done with the Sydney Sweeney ordeal, nope. I went to the American Eagle website, and I am far from done.
Listen to this.
Now that I know what I know, this is personal. Oh, is it? It's personal. Every single one of you who put a video out there calling Sydney Sweeney or American Eagle fascists, you guys look like the biggest idiots right now. Literally, you look like idiots. Perhaps that's because you are.
Okay, I'm going to pause it. I had to edit out a bunch of expletives, shall we see. That's why you're hearing those little gaps. Okay, let's continue here.
So I'm going to show the people who don't know what this whole campaign is about. And wow. When people on the left are making videos about Sydney Sweeney being a fascist for being happy about her genetics. Bitch, if I walked around like Sydney Sweeney, I'd be screaming it from the rooftops. Wait until you see the proceeds and what this campaign is all about. Just wait.
Listen to this.
I swear to God, if these radical libs are not ashamed of themselves, their parents totally failed them. As a part of the campaign, American Eagle will launch the Sydney Jean, a limited run take on their fan favorite Dreamy Drape franchise, produced in collaboration with Sweeney. A butterfly motif on the back pocket of the jean represents, and wait for it, domestic violence awareness, which Sydney is passionate about. In support of the cause, 100% of the purchase price from the Sydney Jean will be donated to Crisis Text Line, a nonprofit offering free 24/7 mental health support for anyone in need. Just text 741-741. You see what I mean? Wow. I didn't even know who Sydney Sweeney was until all of this. But as a domestic violence survivor, hell yes, Sydney Sweeney, thank you. I pray to God she sees this and knows just how appreciative a domestic violence survivor appreciates her today. And shame on any one of you to bash this beautiful woman, regardless of what her skin color is. I know. There's only one race in America that you're not allowed to be proud of being. Bullshit. It's bullshit. And the white liberal women who are saying the most about this, you guys are just foolish. You're idiots. And that's just a fact. You're jealous. And everybody sees it now. Everybody. You understand? Everybody sees it. You know, if I had Sydney Sweeney's jeans, I would be screaming it from the rooftops. Hell yes, I would. It literally pains me that these people are being so insufferable and so jealous that they have to call this girl a fascist because she says she has good genes. Yeah, she does. She has exceptionally good genes. Get the fuck over it. And with that, I am done with the Sydney Sweeney incident. Sydney Sweeney, do not ever apologize for being you. Leave it up to the party of love and tolerance that makes everything about race. Leave it up to them to literally shit on a campaign that is donating every bit of their proceeds to domestic violence awareness and a crisis helpline. I thank God every day I'm not on the left. Thank you, God.
There you go. Boy, talk about a slap down. Oh, my gosh. The liberals out there ought to be absolutely ashamed of themselves. And, you know, the sad thing is that they won't be. You know, maybe they'll just drop the subject and walk out of the room, you know, and not say anything about it. They will never apologize, you know. And, you know, that raises the question, and this may sound somewhat disconnected, but let me ask all the listeners out there, when presented with information that seriously challenges a strongly held belief system, what is the reaction? Well, I see either denial, okay, or I see anger, defensiveness, or how about humility? Yeah. When you're presented with information that challenges a belief system that you've got, do you get pissed off? Do you get all defensive about it? Or do you sit back and say, maybe I was wrong about that. Let me think that over a little bit. You know, a lot of people don't do that. And I know a lot of folks in my particular social circle that would fit right into that whole thing about being defensive or getting angry. Oh, my gosh. You know, I mean, this whole thing, well, a perfect example is all this stuff that's going on in Israel right now. All these people who have been undyingly supportive of Israel. You know, Israel is our greatest ally because that's been drummed into our head all of our lives. Israel's our greatest ally. Israel's our greatest ally. Israel's our greatest ally. Our greatest ally. Our greatest ally. All right, ally. We've been told over and over and over again that Israel is our greatest ally. But then I have to ask the question, why? And for doing so, you're immediately labeled. You're an anti-Semite. You hate Jews. You know, you're a Nazi. You're this and that. No, I'm just asking a question. Why are they our greatest ally? What have they done? What have you done for me lately? You know, what is the deal here? Well, you know, there's a lot of folks now that are starting to realize that. But anyway, oh, by the way, as a punchline for this last subject that we were just talking about, and, you know, this is also related to what happened there in Cincinnati. I mentioned that on yesterday's show. You know, that couple that was at a concert, and afterwards there was some sort of an altercation, and this guy got beaten to a pulp. I mean, by numerous individuals. All these black guys pounced on him. They beat him to the ground. They were kicking on him and everything. And when his girlfriend came over, some guy hauled off and smashed her in the face, knocked her out cold. She was lying on the ground. Her eyes were wide open. Blood was coming out of her mouth, you know. And, you know, the mainstream media has barely even touched that subject because it was black on white. Now, if it was the other way around, if it was a bunch of white people beating on a black couple, oh, my God, it would be all over the news. Racism, racism, racism. We are being race-baited in this country. And, you know, a lot of the black culture, you know, there's a lot of what they call black fatigue going on. But there are some blacks out there that basically come flat out and say, hey, we got to exterminate the white people. I'm serious. Let's see. Let me see this guy. What's his name here? Kamal Kamsin, I believe it is. Anyway, this is what this gentleman had to say.
And the one idea is, how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem. Now,
okay.
I don't care whether you clap or not, but I'm saying to you that we need to solve this problem because they are going to kill us. And I will leave on that. So we have to just set up our own system and stop playing and get very serious and not be diverted.
Okay, his name is Kamau Kamban, and this was on C-SPAN. And he comes in and says it flat out. I'll play it again. Do it again. Here it is.
And the one idea is how we are going to exterminate white people, because that, in my estimation, is the only conclusion I have come to. We have to exterminate white people off of the face of the planet to solve this problem.
Yeah, I mean, they're actually saying this. And of course, where did you hear that? Okay, it was on C-SPAN. Was that on the news? No. And I covered that story yesterday, that there is a town that's being put up in, I believe it was Alabama. C-SPAN was covering this. A couple of sisters, black sisters, were setting up a town in Alabama for only blacks. And CNN was covering this, and they were, this is so wonderful. They've got so much pride, and they want to have a legacy for their children, et cetera, et cetera. And yet there's a group that's in Arkansas that wants to set up a white community, and they're taking it to the court systems and say this is racism and stuff. I mean, it's crazy. It's just crazy. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there as an exclamation point with this whole thing with this Sydney Sweeney issue and the genes and the racism and all this. We are being race baited in this country. As they say, divided we fall. And the last thing the deep state wants, the last thing that the globalists want, is for the black community and the white community to join hands and work together. And it's not hard to do. I mean, okay, look at your basketball teams. There's white guys and black guys in there. Yeah, and they all work together to play the game. How about the football teams and the baseball teams? How about the bands, rock bands that are out there? There's no racism in music. There's no racism in sports. There's only racism in the news. And that's their goal. Divide and conquer. And a lot of people are going for it. And so we're seeing this, and it's not just, blacks against whites. I mean, there's Asians out there, there's Hispanics out there. They're pitting all these different racial groups against each other. And they're also pitting the religious groups against each other. Muslims versus Christians versus Jews versus, this is how they work it. Anyway, I just wanted to, hey, if you want to belly up to the phone bar, you're welcome to do so. Give me a call. Let me know what your thought is. Are you sick of hearing all this racism, accusations of being a Nazi and all this stuff? I mean, I'm just so sick of it. It's, every time somebody says, anti-Semite, it's like, conspiracy theorist. That phrase is getting so tired. It's getting so tired. And 9 out of 10 times, actually for the past couple of years, has been 10 out of 10 times, the conspiracy theorists are right. Anyway, yeah, so you want to give me a call, 215-867-8255. That's 215-867-8255. And by the way, there's a gay man who posts on X. He calls himself Rigo Starr. Sort of maybe he's playing off of Ringo Starr, I don't know. But he calls himself Rigo Starr. And he's a conservative gay man. And he's been calling out the left gays and the transgenders and the transsexuals and all this other stuff because they've crossed so many lines. And he had this to say about this Sydney Sweeney issue. Here he is.
If you're like me, you have been marked safe from being offended by a Blue Jeans commercial. See, the left are having a complete meltdown over an American Eagle ad with Sydney Sweeney, and it's giving very much hypocrisy mixed with racism. And as a former Democrat, I can see their game now. Blatant racism marked as progress. They're literally out here screaming racism, Nazi, and eugenics, all because she has blonde hair and blue eyes and made a pun about having good genes and good genes. Not to mention the fact that the campaign is raising money for domestic violence awareness. But apparently to the left, this is fascist propaganda. Why is that, huh? Is it because she's not trans? Is it because she's not an OnlyFans model? Is it because she's not obese? See, because I realize that representation matters to the Democrats until it's a white person. Then all of a sudden, it's a hate crime.
Mm-hmm. And you think any of these people will ever apologize for being wrong? No. They'll dig their heels in and they'll just say, well, that's because of this or that's because of that. I don't know. Anyway, coming up towards the bottom of the hour, I'm going to take a quick pause for the cause here, and then I have something else I want to bring to the table. And again, if you want to call in, you're welcome to do so. The phone lines are open. 215-867-8255.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get More Tank by visiting our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors button. It'll take you down to a box where you can find out about Get More Tank. And I tell you, for you folks out there that want to save the planet, then why aren't you using Get More Tank? Seriously. I mean, this stuff works. I've been using it now for about a year. Yeah, a little over the year now. And the first thing I noticed is that after, in my first tank, about halfway through the tank, I started noticing when I hit the gas, my car jumped. I said, whoa, where did that come from? And after several tanks, that's when I started to see the improvement in my mileage. I was getting, I went from, from about 17 and a half miles up to 20.5, I think it was. Something like that. But I went up, a good solid, 17, 18%. I did the math. But the bottom line here is that if you want to save the planet, if you want your engine to run better, if you want to get better mileage, and again, if one purchase gets you 5 tablets, and each tablet, one tablet per tank of gas, and by the end of those 5 tablets, you will save anywhere between 15 and 20% in your mileage. Do the math. That means your 5th tank, if you're getting 20% better mileage, the 5th tank is free. This is a no-brainer, folks. Everybody should be using Get More Tank. Everybody. It's going to save a lot as far as, not only that, but your car runs cleaner, less emissions. Okay, you want to save the planet, you should be getting Get More Tank. So anyway, visit the website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page and get More Tank. Simple as that. Okay. Changing gears a little bit, you regular listeners know that I've been following what's been going on with Francesca Albanese. And as a matter of fact, she's been getting sanctioned now because she's siding with the International Criminal Court of Justice against Israel for their crimes against humanity. Of course, the West, the United States is saying, you can't say that. You can't say that. Of course you can, because it's exactly what's going on. So just as a review, this is about the sanctions towards Francesca Albanese.
Good evening. This is Albanese. I wanted to ask you, how did you receive the news on the U.S. government sanctioning you for a job as a special rapporteur? And what's your response to that decision?
It's a very serious measure. It's unprecedented, and I take it very seriously. It's a clear violation of the Convention on the UN Convention on Privileges and Immunities that protect UN officials, including independent experts, from words and actions taken in the exercise of their functions. This is something that could lead to the United States to face the ICJ if there were one member state bringing the case before the court. But look, I'm not asking for anything like that. I don't want member states to distract their attention from where it should be right now, ending the genocide in Gaza. This is what matters. And then ending the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, which is advancing at incredible speed. Look, these attacks, these sanctions, and what has preceded shall not be seen necessarily as an attack directed against me personally. This is rather a warning to anyone who dares to defend international law and human rights, justice and freedom. And I think that in the face of this, we cannot afford to be silenced. And I know that I'm not alone.
No, you're not. As a matter of fact, let me turn the clock back about 3 or 4 years ago. This is before the attack on October 7th, okay? Before that, she was speaking out and trying to point out to everybody, to point out to the world, this issue about Hamas. Because we keep on hearing Hamas. Hamas has got, hostages. Hamas is doing this. Hamas. Israel's our greatest ally. Our greatest ally. Yeah, over and over again. A lie told often enough becomes a truth. What she got into trouble several years ago because she was speaking at the UN and made the following statement. And she wasn't wrong. Here she is.
I'm just saying that an entire population is paying for what Hamas has done. And by the way,
listen up.
Just a few months ago, Israeli leaders were reported saying that Hamas was an asset to Israel.
That's right. It always has been an asset of Israel. And you can go back almost, 17 years. Ron Paul, when he was still in Congress, he pointed that out. Here's Ron Paul in 2008.
Hamas, if you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat.
Hamas was a creation of Israel. That's something that they just don't want people to know. They just sort of sweep it under the rug because they need Hamas as the boogeyman. Hamas was created by Israel. It was funded by Israel, supported by Israel, and continues to be part of the Israeli agenda. Now, if you don't believe it, I don't know, raise your hand and smack yourself with it because this is in the history books. And I played these clips yesterday. Let me see if I can pull these up here from yesterday's program. Actually, I played them also last week. And I'll continue to play them until people get it through their thick skulls that Hamas is part of Israel. It's, let me see. Where are my notes here? Okay, there are 3 different individuals. I played this yesterday. I'll play it again today. The first part is former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, and he made this following statement. Listen to this.
So are you saying Benjamin Netanyahu deliberately boosted Hamas to try to prevent a Palestinian state?
Here he is.
True. He deliberately and systematically even told on record, whoever wants to avoid the threat of a two-state solution has to support my policy of paying protection money to the Hamas.
So what we did, with the permission of our Prime Minister, is to let Qatar to transfer a huge amount of money in cash, probably more than $1.4 billion. By doing it, we increased the power of Hamas. We did everything in order to make sure that Hamas will go on.
Okay, now that voice was from Ami Al-Yalan, and he was from Shin Bet. Now, again, we're talking about high-ranking individuals in the government of Israel. And finally, Yehuda Shaul, he was a former Israeli Defense Forces commander, and he said the following.
And Palestinian Authority will control the West Bank, so they will fight each other.
Here it is.
He fed the beast, and it exploded in our face. If you base your national security strategy solely on force, then you need to win 24/7 forever.
Mm-hmm. And there's this documentary I've been telling you about for quite a long time. And it is entitled, let me see, where is it? Okay, here it is. It's a documentary by John Hankey, and it's entitled Israel Was Behind the Attacks on September 7th, 2023, and It Was an Inside Job. Yes, it was. And there are so many former members of the IDF that are in this documentary explaining exactly what happened. And they don't want you to see this because the entire argument, the entire reason for this genocide would just go up in smoke. The bottom line here is that the Israeli government has wanted to take over the entire Palestinian land for a long, long time. They had plans for the Ben Gurion Canal back in the year 2000, 25 years ago. They want to build a canal right through that area, but they can't do it because it's the Palestinians' land, right? Oh, and then there's the geologic surveys that show that there's $480 billion worth of oil and natural gas, not just under the Gaza Strip, but just offshore in the Mediterranean Sea, which is in what was formerly Palestinian waters. Do you understand why they want to take that land away? That's exactly what's going on. As a matter of fact, I have a clip here from an Israeli Defense Force woman who was with the Israeli Defense Forces, and here's what she has to say.
Israel has one of the most advanced and high-tech armies. How come there was zero response to the border and fence breaching? I cannot understand that. Personally, I served in the IDF 25 years ago in the intelligence forces. There's no way, in my view, that Israel did not know of what's coming. A cat moving alongside the fence is triggering all forces. So what happened to the strongest army in the world? How come border crossings were wide open? Something is very wrong here. Something is very strange. This chain of events is very unusual and not typical for the Israeli defense system. The current government is highly corrupt in my view, while the previous one was no better. I don't care about having a popular opinion. I care about exposing evil forces wherever and whomever they are. So to me, this surprise attack seems like a planned operation on all fronts. If I was a conspiracy theorist, I would say that this feels like the work of the deep state.
Yes, exactly. If you were a conspiracy theorist, and again, I point out that we conspiracy theorists are batting 1,000 for the past several years. I mean, it's getting so easy to figure this stuff out. But unfortunately, if you're consuming intellectual fecal matter, you end up with stuff for brains. That's why, you can't rely upon the alphabet news networks or even the conservative news networks because they just don't talk about it. And again, I don't know how they're going to walk it back. You newscasters on Newsmax or on One America News, Charlie Kirk, God bless you, brother. I mean, I know you're doing a lot of good work, but I don't agree with a bunch of stuff that you're putting out there. And, these other talking heads that just keep on saying, Israel's our greatest enemy. We have to defend them. Hamas, bad. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get it. But people have to understand that they have to have a boogeyman. It's been going on for such a long time. I remember on the 9/11 attacks, of course, let's go back before that. Let's go back to the first Gulf War, Saddam Hussein. George Bush Sr. and the coalition, they had to take out Saddam. He was a bad guy. We'll back it up a little bit. A few years before that, Saddam Hussein was our great ally. I got photographs of Donald Rumsfeld and Saddam Hussein shaking hands. Yeah, the United States was helping him. But then all of a sudden they have to turn him into a boogeyman. Okay, this is the way they work it. So he went from Saddam Hussein, and that was in the 90s, and then, of course, we had September 11th, and it became Osama bin Laden and the Taliban, and then it became Al-Qaeda, and then it became ISIS. One after another, we have to have a group or a boogeyman to go after, and in this case, it's Hamas. Hamas was created by Israel so they could do exactly what they're doing. It's called the Hannibal Directive. Anyway, I don't know. It's exasperating sometimes. And as a matter of fact, there was a guy, his name was Miko, what's his name? Where is it here? That's not it. That's not the one. Oh, here it is. Miko Peled. And he was giving a presentation. And this is a couple years ago. Okay? This is a couple years ago. He was talking about how the Israelis would move into a Palestinian village and basically say, okay, it's time for you to get out. If you're not out by 5 o'clock, we're going to come back and we'll come back and kill you and destroy your house. Listen to this.
Demolition orders.
Demolition
I
orders.
have Palestinian friends who have a demolition order on their house. Well, what does that mean? It just means that one day the army's going to come and destroy their house and give them like an hour notice. And in Jerusalem alone, there are over 15,000 demolition orders. It's in one city. And, countless and countless. They show up, you have an hour to get all your stuff and you're out. They come with bulldozers, destroy the house. Sometimes what they'll do, and you're going to think I'm making this up. I'm not making this up. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll give the family a choice. Either they have to just demolish their own house, or if the military does it, they're given a bill and they have to pay for the demolition of the house. So they have a choice. So this is just how absurd and horrifying this reality is. And this is not, what I'm telling you now is just the day in the life of. There's nothing strange or unique about this for Palestinians. This is the day in the life of. Happens every day to you, to your neighbors, to your best friend, to your cousin. And that's not even beginning to talk about, bombings and shootings and killing of people. This is just, making life unlivable.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. They come to your house and they say, look, either you tear down your own house, we'll be back later, and if you don't tear it down, then we'll come back and we'll tear it down for you and give you the bill. And that's if they don't kill you. I mean, this is what these people are up against. And most of America has got their heads stuck in the sand and they don't want to know anything about it. No, don't tell me. No. And yet the talking heads, folks, like Keir Starmer, continues to just say, Hamas. Here, listen up.
I'm very clear. Israel does have that right to defend herself, and Hamas bears responsibility.
A siege is appropriate? Cutting off power, cutting off water?
Well, I think that Israel does have that right. It is an ongoing situation. Obviously, everything should be done within international law, but I don't want to step away from the sort of core principles that Israel has a right to defend herself and Hamas bears responsibility for these terrorist acts. And I would call on all responsible states, particularly Middle East responsible states, to call this out for what it is and to stand with the world in utterly condemning these actions by Hamas.
Yeah, but Hamas is Israel. Israel is Hamas. Is Israel, is Hamas, is Israel. Now, Israel is expecting the Middle Eastern countries to absorb the refugees, get them out of Palestine. And for the life of me, I don't know why Egypt has been sitting there silently. What is it that Israel is holding over all of these other countries? A lot of people are noticing that many of our congressional representatives are basically controlled by Israel. Yeah. I mean, the only two congresspersons that I can think of not accepting the money from AIPAC are Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey. They're the only members of Congress that I can think of that haven't taken any money from AIPAC. I don't get it. And, there are folks out there that are screaming from the rooftops. Here's a quick testimony from Father Hosea Trentham, okay? And he's basically, echoing what we already know. Listen up.
And look at Gaza. Gaza is even closer to home for Orthodox Christians in many ways because it's the Holy Land. And to see this, forgive me, showing way too many of my cards about this, but to see this Zionist state irrationally, in my mind, allied with the United States of America, a Knesset that is full of the vast majority who think Jesus Christ was a false rabbi, properly executed for his blasphemy, and this is our chief ally? For what? For what? My church is full of immigrants who were driven out of the Holy Land in 1948, and then later, 20 years later, by Jewish soldiers who came to their homes where they had lived for untold generations. They came at noon with guns, and they said, we're coming back at 5. If you're here, we'll kill you. So they left. Many of them came to America, some came to California, and they were part of the founding of my parish. And look at Gaza.
Yeah, he's just echoing what you've already heard. This is standard operating procedure for the IDF and for Bibi Netanyahu and his murderous regime. And, God help you if you criticize Israel, because immediately they say anti-Semite, and your regular listeners know that that's horse hockey. We all know now that the Palestinians are the Semites. Everything is bass-ackwards. We're living in a clown world. I don't know how to turn it around. I've been trying to do this for so many years. I just don't get it. As a matter of fact, let me see, who is this? I think this is Eric Warsaw. And he's talking about walking through the halls of Congress and noticing, how many Israeli flags are flying outside of the representatives' offices. I don't get it. I mean, you can't serve two masters. And again, there are reporters that have been in the halls of Congress, and they go up to different congressional representatives and they say, excuse me, is it America first or Israel first? And they turn and they run away. Sometimes a non-answer is an answer. Listen up to this.
Our government is just completely paid off. U.S. Congress, in front of the Ohio State Representative office, they have a sign in the hallway that says, I stand with Izzy. In front of the Florida office, a sign and a flag, advertising their dual loyalties too. And how much money do they take to sell out? 40 grand? That's it? The representative of Utah has 2 signs, sold out for 46 grand. Pennsylvania, John Fetterman puts up one-sided victim signs all up and down the wall, trying to get sympathy from October 7th. He wants sympathy for a couple hundred people, but wants to ignore the tens of thousands of people on the other side. South Carolina, Joe Wilson, a nice big sign out in front of his office to show where his loyalties are at. This is all over Congress, and no other foreign country is allowed to do this for obvious reasons. Now, why do we have a foreign flag all over American Congress? It's advertising. It's also telling people where these politicians stand and where everybody else should stand too. These signs specifically say, I stand with Izzy. It's not just crazy that there's corruption in our Congress, but it's such open corruption and them openly working for foreign governments. And this really needs to stop, because right now they're just rubbing it in our faces. Our government.
Yep, that's exactly what they're doing. And they've normalized it. Everybody expects it to be the way it is. But that's wrong. You cannot serve two masters. And how many members of Congress have dual citizenship? How is that possible? That doesn't sound right to me. Does it sound right to you? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't hate Jews. I mean, there's a bunch of them that are worthy of that. There's no doubt about that. But then there's, people who are worthy of hatred in all different groups. But the bottom line here is that Israel has taken over this country. They pretty much control Congress. They do control Congress. It's not pretty much. It's just a simple fact. But how do we get that back? How do we tell our members of Congress, our elected officials, that this is unacceptable? Will they actually listen to you? Are you going to fork over several $100,000 to sway them the other way? Because that's exactly what's happened here. These members of Congress have sold out our country for dollars. Judas, that's, how many hundreds of $1,000s did so-and-so get? How many millions of dollars did so-and-so get? As a matter of fact, if you go to trackapac.com, and I know I've mentioned it before, I don't mean to be a one-trick pony here, but for those of you out there listening, if you want to find out what your congressional representative has been accepting from AIPAC, well, just go to trackapac.com and type in your representative's name. It'll show right up. As a matter of fact, I've been making a file here. It's an AIPAC file. Every time somebody's in the news, I go to see if they're being, influenced. Okay, let's see here. Alphabetically, Adam Schiff, he's received $6,234 from Israel. Yeah, Adam Schiff. Okay, Richard Blumenthal, let's see here. How much did Richard Blumenthal? He's got $389,000. Actually, it was almost 390 because it's $389,981 from Connecticut. Okay, Cory Brooker. He's received $871,000 from AIPAC. Okay, Tom Cotton, $1,197,000. Okay, Dan Crenshaw. Yeah, everybody think he's a patriot? You think so? He got $238,000 from AIPAC. All right, Rosa DeLauro from Connecticut, $175,000 from AIPAC. Tulsi Gabbard, $46,000. Lindsey Graham, $1 million. Hakeem Jeffries, $1,742,000. John Hawley, $312,000. Jason Crow, $227,000. Jim Himes, $72,000. John Thune, $461,000. Dan Crenshaw, $238,000. Maria Salazar, $250,000. I'm just going down randomly. Mark Warner, $372,000. It goes on and on. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, $784,000. Chris Murphy, $154,000. Alex Padilla, $30,000. Randy Fine, $402,000. Oh, man, it just goes on and on. Marco Rubio has gotten over $1 million. Anyway, go to trackapac.com and look it up. Okay, I could just go on. Oh, Ted Cruz. He's gotten $1,899,000. All right, okay. We got a caller there. Let's see. Who are you? Where are you calling from? And make it quick because we only got about 5 minutes left. Who is this?
Oh, you don't recognize my phone number? That's fascinating.
Oh, I wasn't looking at that. I was looking at my graphics here. You know, I got 2 computers up here. I'm trying to chew gum and walk at the same time. It's a bit of a challenge for me. All right, what you got, Cynthia?
Well, it occurs to me that many of these members of Congress voted to have women added to the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you and I have discussed, the draft is not constitutional. And so people who wish to get these people out of Congress need to consider petition drives
Mm-hmm.
to point out to them they have voted for something that is unconstitutional, and they need to clear the way for new blood.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting we need to take their blood, just that they need to get out of the way.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, maybe we should. I don't know.
Well, there are those of us who do not want our boys and girls to go to the Middle East and fight for another country for their interests, which we've been doing with war after war in the Middle East. And you've been really helpful in pointing out those associations, I want to say. And by the way, yesterday's was excellent, just totally excellent. I highly recommend people go to your site and grab the links to your podcasts and spread them around.
Yeah. Well, I have a propensity for thinking outside the cage, and people aren't used to that,
So maybe you and I and GR could cook up a petition regarding the issue that they're voting for unconstitutional measures and they have violated their oath of office. And people could come to your site and pick up a way to print that off and spread it around. Started at the county level because you demand that they represent your interest and influence the state legislators to then influence the congressional leaders. And that way you also have a screening mechanism for who is going to be constitutional and who isn't.
Okay. Hey, well, listen, what you could do is contact me through the website at TheWTFReports.com. Drop an email there, and we can chew it over, talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean, I'm all for that. I mean, I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference unless we have a huge footprint and we get, tens of thousands of signatures on petitions. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to listen anyway. You know,
how many people want us to fund another war in the Middle East by sending our boys and girls there?
Yeah.
I think you're one of the people that are pointing out that by sending our aircraft carriers into that area, we're like baiting them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, it gives them the opportunity, especially when the aircraft carrier is being scheduled for decommission. They're going to put it out of service anyway, so let's throw it over there and let a false flag drag us into another war.
Yeah.
So,
I have an uncle who was on two different ships in the World War II that were sunk, and he still survived.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I'm, and again, this is Red State Talk Radio Network here. A lot of folks are conservative, but I got to tell you, we're all being fed horse hockey as well. And there are a lot of folks now that are looking at Trump and saying, wait a minute, what the heck are you doing? We didn't vote for this. This isn't what you campaigned on, I mean, I look at, what's his name? Larry Ellison from Oracle. He was talking about having a very specific vaccine made just for you. That's right. We have a copy of your DNA and we can make a vaccine just for you.
By the CIA.
Yeah.
And the CIA, is related to MI6, right? They're controlled by the City of London.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the sooner we recognize foreign control of our government and get them out of there. By the way, James Fetzer says that is not Trump anymore.
A lot of people are saying that. There are a lot of folks. I mean, I got a friend of mine that I talk to about this stuff all the time, and she's saying that's not Trump. That's not him. They've got a double in there. They got a doppelganger or central casting. She could be right. You could be right. As a matter of fact, it's more likely that they're right than wrong, because we know that they have body doubles out there for all kinds of people. So we may be getting fed a bill of goods here.
In fact, they could have used a body double to rape teenagers, and then the teenager would believe that was Trump.
Yeah. Who the heck knows? We're living in a clown world right now. So,
it occurs to me that Epstein wasn't blackmailing the billionaires. The billionaires would have taken a contract out on him. They were benefiting from our legislators being blackmailed.
Well, this is a very sticky web. And speaking of web, I highly recommend Whitney Webb's book, One Nation Under Blackmail. Oh, my gosh. She is so very well documented in that. As a matter of fact, it's a 2-volume set. And she is an absolutely impeccable deep researcher. And all the receipts are there. Everything is there. Anyway, listen, we're flat out of time, Cynthia. Thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it. And again, you can email us through the website. Take care. Bye-bye. Email us through the website, TheWTFReports.com. And, we can mull that over, figure out if that's something that we want to get done. Anyway, once again, I humbly and respectfully request that you visit our website, TheWTFReports.com. Do business with our sponsors, and if you are so inclined and you'd like to contribute to the effort to expand the program and expand our reach, well, you can do so by making a donation at our GoFundMe, which is on the website. And if you want, with a donation, you can get a WTF Reports t-shirt or coffee mug or a baseball cap. And also, we got, of course, that T-shirt with those 3 magic words: bribery, coercion, and blackmail. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this Wednesday, Hump Day. Don't you be a chump day, don't you ever crump day version of the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, and as always, I thank you for your listenership. And I'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place. So until then, be safe, be free, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Understanding that there's no place to run. See the faces